Alright, so, the next episode of our Tale of Fail begins with an ugly-ass dwarf. He was actually in the thing before, but I didn't bother to give him a name because I didn't think he was going to show up again. But guess what? He shows up again. His name is Mime. Although, I'm just going to call him Mime because nobody likes mimes and nobody likes this guy. So he's sitting in his forge, because he's a forge guy, and all of a sudden, this dude Sigfreid busts in. Now, Sigfreid is super handsome. He's got, like, pecs out to tits length, and he comes in with a bear. He just has a bear on him, and he sends it into the room, and it starts chasing Mime around. He's like, yo, Mime, where's my sword at? You were gonna make me a sword. And Mime's like, dude, chill out. I made you a fucking sword. I made you a fucking sword. Here's the sword. And he gives it to Sigfreid, and Sigfreid's like, all right, bear, you can go home now, but I can get you back whenever I want, because I'm a wizard. He's not actually a wizard. He just has, like, a dick out to double dick's length. Million dicks length. So many dicks. If you laid all of the dicks that his dick is the length as end to end, it would reach to the moon. But anyway, he takes the sword and he's like, this sword? You want me to use this sword? Watch this. Whoota! And he breaks it on this anvil and it explodes. And Mime's like, dude, you want a sword that's not gonna break if you hit it against a fucking anvil? Why would you want that? Are you gonna go around killing anvils or something? Like, what the fuck? And Sigfrid's like, don't ask me what I want this sword is. Ask me how great you can make this sword. And he's like, how great can I make this sword? And he's like, so great! Make it so great! And so Mime's like, alright, there's one thing I could do. And the one thing I could do is I could take the fragments of this legendary sword Nothung that I happen to have. Psst, Nothung is the legendary sword from the last play. And it's the one that was owned by Sigmund. And then he banged his twin sister Siglind, and then they had this baby, Sigfreid. But Sigfreid doesn't know about that. But he finds out about that now because he beats Mime in the face until Mime tells him, and then he feels really great because that means that he's not related to an ugly-ass dwarf. Because guess what? Mime has raised him for his whole life because his mom died in childbirth because she had to push a huge moon dick out of her vagina. And so she's dead, and Mime raised him, and Sigfreid is a huge dick to him. He, like, won't eat the food that he makes for him, and he's just, like, a jerk. And Mime sucks, so it's understandable. But at the same time, like, come on. Just, like, show a little respect, right? But anyway, he doesn't, and then he leaves, and Mime is supposed to make him this fucking sword. But here's the problem. Mime can't make that sword. He's, like, sitting there like, fuck, I don't know how to make this sword, because he's not a legendary dude. I mean, dwarves are legendary creatures, but whatever. And then all of a sudden, Odin walks in. But it's not just, like, regular Odin. It's Odin in disguise. So he's, like, wearing this big floppy hat and this robe, and he's like, yo, I'm a traveler. Let me crash on your couch. And Mime is like, no, dude, I don't need any travelers on my couch. And Odin's like, alright, well, how about this? Let's play a game then. Let's play a game where you get to ask me 3 questions, and if I can't answer them, then you get to chop off my head. And Mime's like, oh, I love chopping off people's heads. Alright, so he just asks him some, like, random-ass trivia questions, and Odin fucking just looks them up on his phone on Wikipedia and answers all of them, and then Mime's like, fuck, are you gonna chop off my head now? And Odin's like, no. So now, I get to ask you 3 questions, and if you can't answer them, then I get to chop off your head. So he asked him questions, so he's like, hey, so this guy Sigfreid that I've heard about, where's he at? And Mime's like, oh, you know, he's just being guarded by a dwarf that is me. Fuck! Oh, damn it! And he's like, told him, and Odin's like, well, thank you for that really classified intelligence. Here, let me give you a freebie. That sword that you're trying to make, that can only be forged by a dude who has known no fear. Also, that dude is gonna kill you. And then he leaves. And then Mime is like, oh, shit. You know who's never known fear? Fucking Sigfreid. And at that moment, Sigfreid humps the door back down with his massive boner, and he's like, hey! Where's my sword at? And Mime's like, dude, I told you I can't fucking make that. And Sigfried's like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna make it then. And he takes it and he grinds it down into powder and he melts it down and he puts it in a mold and he molds it into the fucking sword. Which is like, why did nobody else think to do that? Why did the master forge smith know how to do that? Like, Sigfried doesn't even know how to fucking forge shit, but he makes this shit. And then meanwhile, Mime is like, fuck, this guy has no fear. I know. Hey, dude, alright, there's this great battle technique that you don't know about because I never taught it to you, but I totally have to teach it to you before you go out into the world. And Sigfried's like, what is it? And Mime's like, it's great, I use it all the time. It's called being really afraid and shitting your pants. And Sigfried's like, that sounds amazing! How do I learn it? And Mime's like, okay, what you do is you go to this dragon, Fafnir, who's like this giant, but he turned into a dragon because he was guarding all this gold, because that's what happens. Like, you just get too much treasure in one place and you transform into a dragon. That's how it is. But so, if he can't teach you how to be afraid, ain't nobody can teach you how to be afraid. And Sigfried's like, alright, that sounds great, and I'm gonna use this sword, and I'm gonna kill him, and it's going to be awesome. So, they get up, and they go doot to the dragon's lair. And they go to the dragon's lair, and Mime's plan is fucking, once Sigfreid has killed this dragon, he's gonna poison him, and then he's gonna take the ring that the dragon was guarding, and he's gonna use the ring to rule the world, because that's what he wants to do. But so Sigfreid, like, kicks him off and kicks him away because he hates him, and he's always a jerk to him. And then he's standing out there, and Fafnir comes out. Big-ass dragon. The dragon comes out, and he's like, and Siegfried's like, yo, dragon, I'm totally here to murder you. And the dragon's like, dude, I'm a dragon. Have you seen my mouth? It's full of teeth. And Siegfried's like, and the dragon's like, dude, have you seen my tail? It's like 11 million tails long, and it will break all of your body. And Siegfried's like, and then the dragon's like, dude, I can breathe fire, and lava, and like acid, and like a number of other poisonous things. And Sigfrid's like, oh, what's this? It's a tornado of dicks! And the dragon's like, alright, fuck it, you're getting killed. So the dragon comes at him, and Siegfried stabs him in the heart, and he dies. And it's not even a big deal. And then he gets some of the dragon's blood on his finger, and it like burns, and he like sticks it in his mouth and tastes it. And for some reason, that gives him the ability to understand the speech of animals and discern lies. So this bird is like, tweet, 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 tweet. You know, Mime, he's gonna come try and kill you. And then Mime's there like, hey, I'm here to try and kill you. And Siegfried's like, that's great, that's a great coincidence, because I totally want to kill you. And then he stabs him in the nuts, and then he dies. And then Alberich comes out, that other dwarf from the other thing, and he's like, Mime's dead. And then Siegfried's like, get the fuck out of here, I got a sword. And Alberich's like, okay, cool. And Siegfried has the ring now, and he has that helmet that lets him turn into whatever he wants. And he's got this legendary sword, so he's tricked the fuck out. And then this bird is like, yo, Siegfried, here's what you gotta do now, tweet, tweet. You gotta go up on top of that mountain over there, the one that's surrounded by like fire and lava and hatred, and there's this chick up there who you will wake up, and then you guys will totally bang. Dude, you're about to get your dick wet, dude. This is great. This is what happens when you kill dragons. The world is your oyster. See? Because the world is like an oyster that is guarded by a dragon, because if you have too many oysters, that means you have too many pearls, and that you have too many treasures, and then you turn into a dragon. So that's what it's like. Anyway, so he's going up this mountain. But the thing is, Odin is already on this mountain, because he went onto the mountain to wake up this chick, Erda, who was like the wisdom chick from the first play. And he's like, yo, knock, knock, knock. Erda, wake up. And Erda's like, why the fuck did you wake me up? It's like 2 p.m. I usually sleep till like 5. And Odin's like, dude, I gotta ask you some questions. And Erda's like, dude, why don't you just ask Brun Hill? And Odin's like, kind of made her sleep forever. And then whoever wakes her up gets to marry her. And Erda's like, what? What the fuck? That was my daughter. Like, I don't want to answer any questions for you, Odin. And everyone's like, fine, and I guess my kingdom's gonna die and shit. And Erda's like, yeah, it's because you routinely make bad decisions, like, in a row, like the dominoes falling down. Except you're individually pushing over every domino, and every domino is a human life. Anyway, then he's standing there, and fucking Siegfried comes up, and Siegfried's like, yo, get out of my way. And Odin's like, do you know who I am? And he's like, yeah, you're the dude that's in my way. Look at you, one-eye McPirate Stein. I will poke out your other eye. And Odin's like, dude, that sword you got? I know that sword. You know why I know that sword? I fucking made that sword. Then I broke that sword because I could with this spear. And Siegfried's like, oh, chops the spear in half. What? Odin is the god of everything, of all the things. 100% of things he's the god of. And this motherfucker just broke his sword. He broke his spear. And Odin is just as surprised about this as I am. I'm really surprised. So Odin gets the fuck out of his way. Siegfried climbs to the top of the mountain, all through all the fire and stuff. By the way, I have no idea how they intended to stage this as a play. It calls for like 6 million tons of napalm and, you know, airstrikes and bears and like Nazi dragon robot shit. I don't know. It's like impossible to stage this play. But anyway, he goes up to the top of the mountain and he sees Brun Hill. But Brunhild's all up in her armor, so he thinks that it's a dude because, you know, only dudes wear armor. So he goes and he starts chopping the armor off like you do. Takes the armor off. I was like, holy shit, it's like one of those surprise eggs. It's like there's a hot chick inside this armor. And then he's like, yo, hot chick, wake up. And Brunhild wakes up and she's like, oh, I'm in love with you now because of the prophecy. Hey, where's my armor? And he's like, well, I just chopped it off, because that's what you do. And she's like, what? My armor? I'm a Valkyrie. Like, that's what I am. That's what I do. I put on armor and I run around and I do opera and shit. And he's like, well, no, like, whatever. I just went up through all that fire and I fucking killed a dragon and I wasn't wearing any armor. I didn't have any shield. And she's like, do I look like you? I got tits. I'm a Valkyrie. Motherfucking Valkyrie, son. Wait, oh, God damn it, I'm enchanted, and now we have to have sex. And then they have sex. And then the rest is a story for another time.